Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Adventures. We've got a bit of a community service safety announcement. We've got a few photos to have a look at. Reminder again for some people. I know you don't, if you know, you don't need a reminder, but a lot of people didn't get this message, so share it around. Don't use tow balls for recovery, especially the ones that extend up and down, because obviously they're going to allow more leverage and it's going to break sooner. So have a close look at these photos. The tow balls are not the only thing that breaks. Tow balls do break even when towing, like, you know, for what they're designed for. They do break sometimes. I know people have had tow balls break, so it does happen. Certainly don't put a snatch trap over a tow ball. You might not have known that. If you didn't know, you better tell all your friends and family and anyone you might know, especially the younger generation, because they're learning. Don't do that, okay? It's a missile. The photos that you've seen, and you'll see somebody was killed while their family was in the vehicle. So first thing is about the gear to use safely or not. So there's the right gear and there's the wrong gear, and there's the right procedures and the wrong procedures and all that we already know, right? But what people haven't thought about is, you know, people want to get out and have some fun and go and play in the mud, and that's what was happening in this situation, okay? And the problem is when you get yourself in a really deep bog of mud, boggy, swampy stuff, or some really soft sand on the tide, and you get yourself into a situation that's hard to get out of and you need help. There's lots of different ways to do things, but the common way these days is people love being the hero and they love to stop in and help and get their strap out and just show you how it's done. So there's dangerous ways of doing this, but the thing is, you're involving other people. It can be quite a big pull that's needed to simply snatch a vehicle out of a swamped up bog hole, and that isn't necessarily the right way. So the key message, I think, really is don't get yourself in that situation in the first place. Respect the vehicle. Think about what you do with the vehicle before you do it, okay? So you can get out on some muddy paddocks like out around here where we are here on this rough road when it's wet, and you can slide around and skate around and have some fun, can't you, Mitch? You were doing that yesterday, yeah? Mm-hmm. And then you had to clean the mud off, right? Mm-hmm. But the point is, we're not parking it in a swamp where we've got to get a recovery. So possibility of needing a recovery, we've got snatch straps, extension straps so that we can, shovels, yeah, you know, whatever it is, mate. It might be max tracks, whatever you've got tire pressures, you've got things that you can, tools you can use to safely recover the vehicle. The point is, you don't put it to a really bad bog hole, deep bog swamp situation, or a really soft sand pit kind of situation where the tide's coming in. Very dangerous. So just think about where you put your vehicle, share the message around. Okay, this guy not only got a tow ball, the whole tow bar extension through his head while his family was in the car. Not good. So if we can save one other person from doing this, it's better than nothing. We'll do what we can. Like I said, if you can, share it around. Hope you liked it, and just trying to do our part. That's it. Bada bing, bada boom. Hopefully we've got some other entertaining videos for you there, and the fun continues. Have a nice day, guys. See you. All right, let's take it a little bit further for those that want the information. Not everybody wants the information, but you've just got to engage, not just low range, you've got to engage the common sense that, as we know, isn't common anymore. How's your common sense level? I reckon I've got a pretty good common sense level, but there's a lot of people that haven't, and I think it's a bit like you used to have to use the Melway. Who knows what I'm talking about? The Melway or the Sidway or the Brisway or whatever. I don't know what they're all called, but you know, I know the Melway, right? You used to open it up, look up, you know, follow maps, look, okay, yep, work out in your head where you got to go, try and remember all your turns, or at least get to know your areas on the big scale, and then you might have to stop and have a look at the book again. Now, it's all Google Maps, you know, and that's just one example of how things have gone, and people just don't think. They're robots, they're sheep, they just go with the flow, you know, just go with, you know, just roll with it, okay? Roll with it doesn't work, okay? let's re-engage common sense. You're going to be better off if you start thinking again. So, you know, when it comes to a recovery, you've really got to stop and think, what are you connecting to? How strong is it? So again, you look at, I mean, and a lot of people aren't going to be able to figure this out because if they haven't got some sort of mechanical or engineering, some people, everyone's got different skills and abilities, right? So a lot of people don't get how strong is that piece of steel, you know, that by the thickness, or if it's welded or not, if it's machined, if it's whatever it is, this, that, or the other. So you've got to look at what you're connecting to. You've got to look at what you're using. So not only the rating of it, but how old is it? Is the stitching old and rotted? Is it 6 years old? Is it 10 years old? Is it 14 years old and the stitching's about to rip through? Because possibly it is. So then when it does, what's going to happen? If the strap's just going to let go, it's probably going to do minimal damage, but it always pays to have a dampener on that strap. That way you're going to bring your damage to virtually zero, because a strap that breaks, and we've seen it plenty of times, it's got quite a whipping pressure there. You wouldn't want to be standing in front of it. It can break plastic components on the front of the vehicle being recovered, if it's being recovered from the front, or the rear of the recovery vehicle, like the lights. It can smash those things to pieces, okay? That's usually the extent of the damage. But if you've got a dampener on it, then obviously you're going to avoid that. So it all depends how you're using it. If you've just got a situation where you're out on one of these paddocks here, it's a bit muddy, there's bugger all traction, it's pretty flat, and you lose traction, you come to a stop and you can't move back, left, right, turning, and you're just spinning around in circles like you're on ice, that's good fun. And you're not down to the axles, you're going to be down an inch or two, 3 maximum, and it's time to stop mucking around and think about what you're going to do to get the vehicle moving again. Okay, and sometimes a bit of shovel work, like Mitch said before, is the go. Sometimes that and a combination of tyre pressures, if you've got the right sort of tyres. If you've got some off-road tyres that have got a bit of aggressive tread there, they might bite in, or you might not get stuck in the first place. But usually, even though you may have let your tyres down, there's always room to go down further. It makes a massive, it's exponential, the increase in traction, the more you let your tyres down, okay? So always remember that. But if you're in a deep bog, doesn't matter how much you let your tyres down, they're not touching the bottom, there's nothing there. So you've got to think about what you drive into, okay? Where you're playing, what you put yourself into. So you've got to have some decent, solid tow points on the vehicle. Often the factory manufacturer tow points are sufficient for any reasonable recovery, dare we use the word, because, you know, there's these big thick welded points, okay, it's strong enough to rip the whole vehicle. This is not a recovery point vehicle. Of course you've got your shackles then as well. If you didn't know, with your shackles, when you do them up, back them off half a turn so they don't get stuck there, like what's happened to many people. You know, as we already said, the condition of the strap or tow strap, often you just need a tow strap. It's a tow. You're just generally towing the vehicle. Or you might need a snatch strap. It might be a very gentle snatch, just, you know, so you don't get bogged yourself. You need to have a little bit of momentum and sort of, you know, you just need to give that vehicle a pull out of the hole. And the idea is them not spinning their wheels while they're waiting for you to do that. A normal recovery is they wait. As the slack takes up and they're about to get that snatch energy, gently on the gas as the vehicle pops out of the hole or the bogged area, not spinning the wheels, keeping it dug in, gently, gently, gently. Right, so it's a gentle recovery in general, you know. If you need to do some crazy stuff, okay, you know, you might be in that situation sometimes, but that's where you need to be using that common sense, not just what number's stamped on it, because you can stamp a piece of steel 10 ton, and then you've got the bolts, and who did those bolts up, and there's only 2 of them, and, you know, have you got the slightest 3-degree angle, because they're not designed for that, you know, things happen. So you need to think it all through and go, is it worth it? If those bolts break and that banana comes flying through your back window, or whoever's in front of you, do you want to be any part of that? Okay? So to avoid that, Don't think too hard about, is my strap good enough? Is my recovery point good enough? Is my winch cable good enough? Have I got enough dampeners? What you need to think about is, who am I going to go off-roading with? Am I going to bother getting myself into this situation? Is it worth it? Was it worth the fun? You can have fun without wrecking the vehicle and without making it a major safety risk like people do. Alright guys, that's it. Serious this time. Just thought I'd add that extra bit of info because some people love it, and if you got to the end, can you put in the comments so that I know you love it and who you are. Thanks for watching. Catch you soon. See ya.